Good morning. How the devil are you doing this fine day? Me, I'm feeling way better than I did yesterday, which is probably just as well. We've got a packed show and an extended show for you today, and I'm also scheduled to record a transatlantic interview tonight, long after my normal working day ends. So while I drink some more coffee, let's roll that intro and get this show on the road. Welcome to the Breakfast Show. I'm your host, Mark Anthony. It's Wednesday, the 13th of October, and as that remarkably persistent guy just said, welcome to the Breakfast Show. I am your host, Mark Anthony. In today's show, Embodied Carbon, the story that refuses to die. We're travelling to a land down under to see some expert tank demolition. We're checking out the latest wheeled excavators from the good folks at Hitachi, and there's a new face at Miller UK. We'll get to all of that in a second, but first, let's see who among the rich and the shameless will be celebrating a birthday on this day of days.
Happy birthday!
And it's many happy returns to Jane Grey, who was Queen of England for just 9 days. Also, happy birthday to British Prime Minister, or former British Prime Minister, Margaret Thatcher, who fancied herself as Queen for more than 11 years. Happy birthday to a legendary singer and songwriter Paul Simon and to rocker Sammy Hagar. Happy birthday also to that man of many faces, all of them offensive, Sacha Baron Cohen. But far, far more importantly, happy birthday to former West Ham captain Scott Parker. Many happy returns to them, one and all. I will admit that when this story first came to light a few months ago, I dismissed it. Some boffin at the Royal Institute of British Architects had proposed a moratorium on all demolition to safeguard what is known as embodied carbon. Embodied carbon is basically the carbon emitted when building materials are actually made. Fast forward a few months, however, and this is a story that is just not going away. In fact, it's gaining traction. And rather than being seen as a crackpot idea, it is potentially being used to drive political thinking and possibly even legislation.
There is a massive blind spot in our national construction policy. Up to 80% of a new building's greenhouse gas emissions will be caused by its construction, maintenance, and demolition.
These emissions, known within the industry as embodied carbon, are unregulated.
In the UK, embodied carbon accounts for more than 10% of our total national emissions.
The construction industry has the skill and knowledge to tackle these emissions. What's missing is the political will and leadership.
ACAN is launching a campaign calling for whole life cycle carbon limits to be set within national planning policy and the building regulations.
With a comprehensive report, policy briefing and wider political movement, ACAN will engage and awaken policymakers on this critical matter.
The benefits of this type of policy are far-reaching, supporting the creation of thousands of green jobs in the UK.
The case to implement this policy is clear, but requires a systemic change to protect us all from devastating climate change and environmental degradation.
ACAN's latest campaign demands that this change starts right now.
Now, the UK government is reportedly in the final stages of creating its new heat and building strategy. But Business Minister Lord Callanan says that embodied carbon was one of the areas under consideration. According to United Nations statistics, making steel, concrete and bricks creates a lot of carbon emissions. Concrete alone contributes around 8% of global emissions. And the engineering giant Arup calculated around half of the whole life emissions of a building could come from the carbon emitted during its construction and its demolition. The chairman of the government's Advisory Climate Change Committee, Lord Debon, said, "We need to think differently. It's not acceptable to pull buildings down like this. We have to learn to make do and mend." Lord Debon went on to say there needs to be a new planning law to stop giving permission for demolition, adding, "We are simply not going to win the battle against climate change unless we fight on every front." Climate experts are now urging ministers to make it hard for developers to demolish buildings without first exploring ways to refurbish and extend them. Should the demolition industry be worried? Yeah, I believe it should. There's a global move towards addressing the impending climate crisis. In just a few weeks' time, Glasgow will host the COP26 Climate Change Conference. Governments, the UK included, could be looking for some headline-grabbing quick wins. And being entirely honest, UK politicians will be well aware that the next general election will be upon us in just a few years. The stewardship of the environment could yet prove to be the key political battleground, particularly for those looking to secure the notoriously green youth vote. Against that background, demolition companies should be very worried indeed about any political moves to address the embodied carbon issue. And reaching out to the various media outlets reporting on this issue will not cut it. It's too late by then. The demolition industry needs to engage instead with politicians and scientists if it is to fend off this very serious threat. And it needs to align itself with the biggest names in construction, not as their whipping boy, but as equals, because their livelihoods are equally under threat. If it doesn't, the demolition and construction industry could be negatively and hugely impacted.
The Miller GT series heralds a new era of unrivaled power and cutting-edge intelligent coupler technology, increasing job site safety, machine versatility, and productivity. It's the added versatility that you need at the value you can afford. To find out more, visit millergroundbreaking.com.
Now, we will be hearing more from the good folks at Miller a bit later in the show, but first, we're going to take a trip down under with those fine cobbers from Liberty Industrial, one of the Southern Hemisphere's finest demolition contractors. If you're watching here in the UK, here's a quick reminder of what a blue sky looks like. I know that water looked beautiful, but if it's any consolation, it was almost certainly full of sharks. It will soon be Miller time, but first, let's see who is buying what in the field of demolition and construction equipment. Aylesbury Tool and Plant Hire has further expanded its fleet of excavators with a selection of Kubota models from local dealer Boss Plant Sales. The new stock sees the immediate arrival of two U10-5s, two U17-3As, and a K008-5, which add to an already strong fleet of Kubota machines. But the growth doesn't stop there, as the branch is also expecting the arrival of 10 further mini excavators, a further delivery of U17s and U27s alongside more KX080s, between now and early 2022 to further bolster its hire fleet. So congratulations to Aylesbury Tool and Plant Hire, to Kubota, and obviously to local dealer Boss Plant. Now, speaking of buying equipment, under a special promotion running to the end of December, Bobcat is offering customers an expanded choice of financing options for buying new Bobcat loaders, mini excavators, and telescopic handlers. The roster of finance options now include seasonal payments plan. Under this scheme, customers pay an initial 10% down payment, followed by an agreed 36-month schedule dictated by the seasonal nature of their business. There's a buy now, pay later option that provides up to 180 days deferral on the first payment. This option carries no down payment and a 0.45% interest rate. There's also a 50% half price rental option. Customers can pay a 10% down payment, but then only need to pay half the regular monthly hire purchase payments for the first 12 months of the plan. And finally, there is a 0% over 3 years, a zero interest scheme with payments spread over 36 months and with a 10% down payment. So if you're planning to buy a Bobcat, now might be the perfect time to do so. A few months ago, we brought you details of the new Hitachi Zaxis-7 tracked excavators. Well, it turns out that while we were looking the other way, the folks at Hitachi also upgraded its wheeled excavator lineup too. Let's take a look. That's another terrific film from the team at Hitachi here in the UK, and another terrific lineup of excavators too.
Axoft and Svantec are your high-end partners for noise, vibration, dust and air quality systems, sensors and software. To find out more, visit axoft.co.uk or call 01234 639 550.
Okay, listen, I will accept no argument. The soft cell song Say Hello and Wave Goodbye was the greatest song of the 80s. And I say that as a die-hard Ultravox fan who still believes Vienna to be on a par with anything Beethoven ever cooked up. Also, Say Hello and Wave Goodbye was the theme of an interview I conducted yesterday with Olivia Hudson-Smith, the newly appointed Miller UK marketing manager. Olivia's arrival also marks the hopefully temporary departure of Cheryl O'Brien, who is starting her maternity leave this week, possibly even tomorrow. As you will hear, Cheryl was actually instrumental in helping me bring this weird little show to fruition. And for that, I shall be eternally grateful. You'll hear all about that shortly. So let's roll that interview. What brings you to Miller? Were you working in construction before?
No, so I mean, close. I've actually come from an international maritime company. So they were a Dutch company, but they had a Northeast division, which was the offshore division. So they designed and manufactured vessels and equipment for the oil and gas and the renewables industry. So a little different, but lots and lots of similarities. I've sort of managed to get myself into this niche of working for, you know, like pioneering technology companies, and it just works for me. What I keep saying is I've swapped vessels for excavators, and that's what I keep saying when people ask me.
It's a good decision. Excavators are far, far more interesting, I've got to say.
Yeah, completely. I really feel like I've been at Miller forever. And I mean, referencing the above question, I've already turned into an avid excavator spotter. You know, as I'm driving down the A1, I'm like, look at that, there's a Miller coupler, there's a Miller bucket. So I really feel like I've been there a long time. And, you know, what makes it easier is there's a fantastic team, and that has just made it, you know, so easy for me to just settle in straight away. I think the industry it's a real community, isn't it? It feels like a community just from speaking to you today. It feels like a community. So I'm just really looking forward to embedding myself a little bit further into it.
And I think you're quite fortunate, because I know a lot of companies claim to be family businesses, but Miller really is a family business with, you know, with Keith and Jackie and what have you. It really is a family company, isn't it?
It really is. And I'm getting to know that straight away. You know, I've already had quite a lot to do with Keith and Jackie, and they're just lovely, lovely people. And it's quite a nice change coming from, you know, a much more corporate, less personal business to this family business, and it really is lovely.
So what are your plans, and what do you hope to achieve? And I don't mean that, I'm not asking you to re-interview for the job, but, you know, what do you bring to the party, and what are you hoping to do with Miller while you're there?
Yeah, so I think the focus on this next year is really just promoting Miller across various channels, and the main thing is growing the international portfolio, just to drive that next phase of growth for Miller. I mean, as you know, Miller is already an established brand, but what I really want to do is build on that and take it to the next level. So it's not just people in the industry who know Miller, but it's people everywhere across all industries. They know who Miller are, and that's really what I want to achieve.
No, absolutely. Now, we all know that exhibitions are a very big part of the Miller organisation, and next year, thankfully, sees the return of Hillhead. I'm guessing it will be your first. Have you got any special plans for the exhibition? And I guess you and the team must be excited to get back to live shows.
Definitely. I mean, as you know, Cheryl has had a massive part in the exhibitions over the last few years, and she will be going on to maternity leave. So it is down to us to carry on all the good stuff that she's done and make this Hillhead really special. And, you know, it's a bit of a comeback after not doing it for a while. I mean, Miller's been taking part in Hillhead since like 1987. So no pressure to make sure that, you know, we do something really good. I think you know, the sales team really are excited to get out there, get chatting to people, get networking. There's a lot in the pipeline. You know, watch this space and we'll give some little teasers along the way. But yeah, expect big things from Miller at Hillhead.
We'll come back to Cheryl in just a second, but obviously you're joining at a time. I mean, you've joined at the tail end of COVID, but we find ourselves with enormous difficulties in the country. We've just had a fuel crisis. We've got material shortages and skill shortages. Yeah. How is Miller coping with things like delivery driver shortages and material shortages? And how are you keeping up with customer demand at the moment?
Yeah, I mean, it's a really good question. And as you know, I've only been here since July. But from what I can see is Miller's order book has really mirrored this exceptional growth demand for construction equipment over the last 12 months, which, you know, is absolutely fab. But it also comes with its challenges. Miller has been impacted from the challenging logistical demands that we've all seen. But I would say we've probably coped slightly better than others, and that's just down to the fact that Miller owns and manufactures its attachments in the UK. So we've had greater control of the availability and build capacity, and that's something that's had a significant impact on others' lead times. So yeah, I think we've coped well. We've grown, and there's also been challenges along the way.
Absolutely. Well, there's not really much further I can say, apart from wish you the very best of luck in your new role. And you just touched on Cheryl. For people that don't know, Cheryl O'Brien was in your role before you were, and she is off. How do you say it up in your part of the world? She's off to have a wee bairn. Is that Scottish? Is that Scottish? I never know.
Yeah, I mean, I would just say she's going to have a baby.
Yeah, that would be better. That would sound much better.
Yeah, this is her last week before she goes on maternity leave. So we're seeing her on Thursday, you know, to wish her well. But she'll be back. But we'll wish her all the best.
No, I mean, just so that everyone knows, and I have actually mentioned this in what will now be yesterday's show. When I started this show, and today was our 163rd episode, Miller was the first company to actually say, yeah, we'll support you. We'll come on board as one of your show sponsors. And Cheryl played an absolutely vital role in that. I know the decision probably rested with Barry and other people within the organisation, but Cheryl has backed this all the way. So she helped us give birth to whatever this show is. So we wish her the very best of luck in giving birth for real.
I love it.
Right, Olivia, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you. We really do wish you the very best of luck in your new role. Keep us posted. One of the things that always strikes me about Miller is there always seems to be something new going on. It's not a company that rests on its laurels. There always seems to be some new innovation taking place behind the scenes. So I hope you've got plenty of new things to show us and to tell us about between now and Hillhead.
Definitely.
I think if you ask most people in the UK demolition and construction industry to name a great British manufacturer, most would probably mention JCB or possibly Thwaites. But Miller has established itself as a truly global brand. It might not shout about its own accomplishments like some others, but the company is a true innovator and a great British success story. We certainly wish Olivia all the very best in her new role, and just as importantly, our very best wishes to Cheryl on her imminent arrival. Hopefully she'll be able to find the time to let us know when the baby arrives, and we can raise a glass to her at a distance.
Sorry to interrupt the guy with the funny glasses, but if you're enjoying this video, please hit the like button as it helps our channel. Or, better still, share this video with a friend or a colleague. Thank you. Right, back to Beardy.
Right, that pretty much wraps up the show for today. I will roll the outro in just a second before hopping over into the chat to see what you've all had to say. I have been flashing some of those up on the screen today because that last interview was a little longer than usual. But I'll see what you've got to say. I will be back here tomorrow morning, same time, same place, for more of this old stuff and nonsense. But until then, stay safe, look after yourself, your family, your friends, and your colleagues. And thank you for watching.